Okay, today we're starting factoring by grouping. It is very similar to the factoring that you did previously where you're trying to find the greatest common factor. But what we're going to try to do is we're going to try find the greatest common factor among each group. So if you think of the word group, you think that there's more than one person. So when you're grouping, you're going to group in twos. And the only way you can do this is if you have a polynomial. Okay, if you had three terms and say this one wasn't here, I couldn't group because I can group the first two, but then the third one would be all alone. So you have to have four terms and to be able to group. And so all you do is you group the first two. So I'm going to put parentheses around the first two. So the first term, the sign, and the next term. And then I'm going to group the second two. Now notice this plus sign goes with the 8K, so it's inside the parentheses. There should be no variable, number, or sign outside if you group correctly. Okay, then you're going to use the strategies that we used before, which is identifying what they have in common. So you're going to do it group by group. So if I look at the first term, it's a K to the third, which means there's an imaginary 1 there. So factors of 1 are 1 and 1. And then there's 3 Ks. So I'll list 3 Ks. And many of you that sent in your work did this beautifully. And then I'm going to do it again for the 4. Now, the 4 does have more than one factor, but the only numbers over here are 1. So the only factor that goes with that is 1 and 4. If I list 2 and 2, that's fine, but that's never going to be something that they have in common because the first monomial, 1K3, only has factors of 1. And then I'm going to list out 2 Ks. So if I look for the biggest number they have in common, the biggest number is 1, so I'll circle it. The most variables they have in common, I go to the smallest one, which is K to the second. So it has 2 here, so I can circle 2 here. So that means what this one has in common is 1K to the second. That's its greatest common factor. And then I'm going to figure out what's left like we did before. So if I look at what's left, 1K is left. So I put 1K. And what's left over here? Just the 4. Now, you have to pay attention to this sign. It's a minus sign, and this is positive, so this would be a negative. Because negative 4 divided by 1 is negative 4. Now I had K2s, and there was K2s out here, so I'm done with that one. So that's me grouping the first parentheses. I'm going to repeat that process for the next parentheses. So I'm going to start with 8. Factors of 8 are 1 and 8, and 2 and 4. And then I have a K. Now, when I go to 32, I want, remember, the greatest common factor. So I'm going to look at the biggest number over here, which is 8. Does 8 go into 32? And if you try on your calculator, it does. You get 4. So I'm going to write factors 4 and 8. Again, the reason why I went with that and didn't put 1 and 32 is because 32 is never going to be on this list. So you go to the list with the smaller numbers and you look at the biggest one. If 8 didn't work, I would try 4. Okay, now, so the greatest number is 8. So I'm going to circle 8. This has a K, but this doesn't have a K, so I cannot circle that K. That means the only thing out here is 8. And then I'm going to write what's left. Well, 8 divided by 8 is 1. K, I didn't take out a K, so I still have a K. And negative 32 divided by 8 is a negative 4. Okay, now what you should notice right now is that I got what I call the 2-for-1 special. Inside my parentheses is the same thing. When you group, you know you grouped correctly if you get the same exact thing. Now, the reason why I call that a 2-for-1 special is because you got it twice, but in your final answer, you're going to only write it once. So there's your first parentheses, your first binomial, but you need to get another one. Well, this and this gave me that 1, 2 for 1. Well, the only other pieces here is the stuff that's outside. So is the 1k2 and the 8. So that is going to join up and go to this one. So I have 1k squared, and this is a positive 8, so plus 8. So my two binomials, when I factored this whole thing, gave me this answer.